So there's probably a good chance that you clicked on this video because the title speaks to you in some way. And if that's the case, good. You should watch this video, I think. So the title, what I mean by the title of this video, to unlearn who they taught you to be. Unlearning who they taught you to be is the only way you can learn who you are. And why do I say that? In Jungian psychology, there's this idea that you have the ego, and then you have the unconscious part of the ego, which is all the shadow. The shadow is basically, think of it as like your inner child, the part of you that's like deeply connected to your childhood. I would say for the most part, you can still develop a shadow like if you're an adult and still like put things into it. But generally speaking, the majority of your shadow is probably from your childhood between the ages of, I believe it's like around 4 to 7 is when you're developing the ego. But I would say it even goes like as far as like your mid-teens, maybe. It's probably mostly a subjective thing. But your shadow is the part of your ego that wants to protect you from the external world. The shadow is the parts of yourself that you have also disowned for whatever reason, and you think, oh, this part of me, I shouldn't express this part of me for whatever reason. And the shadow is just like this scar that's in you that for some reason in the past, some like personal energy that you had vanished because your younger self determined that this was unacceptable and that I shouldn't be showing this part of myself for whatever reason. And yeah, there's a lot of things in the shadow that definitely belong there and that should not come out of the shadow. But at the same time, there's a lot of really good information and archetypes that you can drag out of the shadow at will, whenever you want, really. Like, I think shadow work is probably the best form of self-therapy, easily. Ever since I started to work with my shadow, complete life changer. But in order to remember who you are, you need to understand your shadow. Oftentimes, your shadow has been programmed by people that were just fucking dicks to you when you were a kid. Like, just simply put as that. And some simple like ways that you can start to like understand your shadow and like see where it's coming from is just look backwards into your past. Just look and see, okay, I have this weird behavior that I have that I don't really understand why it's there, what purpose it has. Just bring that behavior with you to the past. Try to ask that behavior like in your mind, okay, why do you exist? What purpose do you have? Like, why are you there? Because you can kind of like talk to parts of yourself, like, because deep inside you know why that's there, unless you just forgot completely and it was some crazy like childhood trauma that you like completely repressed, then maybe that's a different story. But I feel like most of the time I can kind of recall like why this might like exist within me. And another thing is like if you like viscerally react to someone or something or some scenario, like for whatever reason, like especially in relationships, like if you do like some weird shit and you're like either super avoidant or super anxious and attached, like that's probably your shadow. There's a reason why that's happening. And it's because maybe there's some belief that was created within you that was from your childhood that just never got the attention and the forgiveness that it needs. And it just psychically still exists within you. Well, how do you deal with this? Well, you just gotta forgive yourself and forgive your shadow and just try to understand it like it is the child of yourself. Like it is you from the past, essentially, that's just like here with you now and is still trying to protect you. You just have to understand it and forgive it unconditionally, especially when it comes to seeing traits in other people that you lack, that you perceive that you lack. If you see a trait that's in someone else that isn't in you, well, you're wrong. It is actually in you. It's just repressed because reality is completely a mirror. You don't experience anyone else. You experience your interpretation of other people, and your interpretation of other people is from your unconscious. Your shadows being projected onto other people all the fucking time, and you're just viewing parts of yourself that aren't integrated into your ego, and you're just perceiving them in other people, and you're like, oh, well, this person is that way and I'm this way. Yeah, to an extent that's right, but at the same time it's like, as above so below. Everything you see out there is within you. Every trait you see in someone else is also within you somewhere. I'd say generally speaking, that's the truth. There are some cases where it's like, okay, there's some weirder shit going on. There's some like actual psychological issues that are going on within other people that don't exist within you. That's a different story. But I'd say generally speaking, it's within you as well. A lot of this behavior where we're like projecting our shadow onto other people, and we're projecting like bullshit onto other people, you know, parts of ourselves that we hate, always projecting all the time. And this comes from the idea that we're in such like an ego state of consciousness where we're believing the things that our ego's telling us just like blindly. Or this can be traced back to the ego believing that it is the self, which, by the way, not true at all. Your ego is not the self. The self is the totality of your psyche, and the ego is just a small little piece of it. And if your ego identifies as the self, then your ego is going to be completely unaware of what it's doing, and a part of that is projection. Stop. Be aware of the fact that, okay, I'm projecting unconscious parts of myself onto other people, and then again, trace it back. Why do I believe this? Why do I act this way? And then just try to unconditionally forgive yourself and just like love yourself for who you are. And the more you start to practice this, the more you start to like realize who you are like as a person. And then the more like comfortable you get in your own skin, and you're start to become like I don't know how else to put it, but like healed. Like I said earlier in the video, like being able to have a relationship with your shadow is probably like one of the biggest game changers you can ever get in like your life in general. Like you get an actionable approach that you can take to understand any bullshit that you have going on in your mind. That's probably one of the most valuable skills you can have. The other half of this coin is also the fact that the most authentic version of yourself is not hiding in fear the whole time. You need to uncondition the parts of yourself that are so like, that are just gripping on to fear and that don't want to let go. And you just need to slowly like let go of those things. And then my personal advice, again, you don't have to do anything I say. It's just trying to help other people out. But you choose to start to try to be the most authentic version of yourself all the time, that's not based in fear and that's not based in controlling outcomes that you do need to be more aware of and like let go of. But once you start to do that, I find that being authentic is like becoming polarizing. Like you start to filter out all the people that you know are not going to be good for you and are just going to cause you even more bullshit, and your cortisol is going to be super fucking high around them, and you're not going to feel safe, and you're just going to be afraid all the time around these people. Once you start to be the most authentic version of yourself, then it gets rid of them. If you see in other people that they're projecting like their bullshit onto you, and that they're like, oh, I don't like you, like for no reason, like if someone doesn't like you for literally no reason, then that's their problem. That's their bullshit that they gotta deal with, because there's a part of themselves that they hate for whatever reason that they're projecting onto you. But in reality, it's like probably not even true most of the time, whatever they're thinking about you. So yeah, don't let other people's projections of you decide who you are. It's a horrible way to live, in my opinion. It's exhausting too.